I will be explaining to you the Henry system of classification. And he came up with this system to help break down your fingerprints into like subgroups. So the gentleman's name was Edward Henry, and he developed this classification system, which then was later modified by the FBI. And it allowed all sets of 10 fingerprints in the world to be divided into 1,024 groups. Secondary and more complex classifications were created to allow for more groups. This way, when we have an unknown set of fingerprints, we can categorize it. So here is the figure that I'm going to be talking about in just a few moments. And you see that each finger is given a number. And then at the end you see a +1. I will explain this in a moment. Okay, so instead of the fingerprints needing to go through millions of other prints for comparison, you can break it down into that 1,024 number. Nowadays, computers do the matching of the fingerprints, but it was done manually before, and sometimes they still need to double check. So the first step, identify the presence of a whorl pattern. So this pattern is given a number based on which finger has the whorl. That was the chart that I just showed you. So that number will be set up as a fraction. And as I said, at the end, it adds the ones so that you don't ever have a 0. Okay. So if you have a whorl on your left thumb and your right middle finger, you are going to have an 8 here and a 4 here. And then when you add across, you get 5/9 as your primary classification. So you could figure out your own at home if you wish. Then you could compare it to other people in your home to see how your numbers compare. So ulnar loops are about 60%, radial are about 5. Whorls, plain are 20%, other is 10. Plain arches is 4, tented arches is 1. So what is the probability of one person having 2 arches? Well, for each finger examined, it would be 1 finger out of 20. So even if 5 arches have been identified, the chances of someone having so many arches is low. It can be approximated this way as well. So the probability, 1 arch out of 20 fingers, and then you have the other probability is 1/20 times 1/20, and you get 1/400. So in a large population, your probability of one person having 2 arches is 40/1. But in a group of 1,000 people, you would expect to find 500 arches, but not necessarily 500 people, one with each arch. So challenge yourself. What are the odds of one person having 3 arches?